Welcome back to the Florida Athletics Network. This is Tampa Bay Fighting Irish Football. I'm Michelle Montaigne, joined by KJ Doyle, and we have an exciting matchup for you tonight as the Fighting Irish take on the Bradenton Gladiators.
Yeah, Michelle, and as we mentioned, both coaches extremely excited to get out there and play some football today. Obviously, both kind of getting early on in their season, have been doing a lot of traveling, and Tampa Bay Fighting Irish definitely happy to be back at home after they've been around a little bit so far in these last few weeks. Traveling seems like all over the place, so good to get another home game in after an eventful few weeks for them.
Absolutely. Right now, the two teams are meeting at center field to take the coin toss. We have head coach Jay Mize of the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish, joined by Tyler Harrison, and for the Bradenton Gladiators, head coach Jeff Charlton is there, joined by Lewison Desanor. You got the chance to also speak with head coach Jeff Charlton, and he had some very clear thoughts on the message for his team this season, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the pleasure of describing himself, and I won't repeat how he described himself. He's a very passionate person. You can clearly tell, and that came through in what he said and what he had to say about his team and how much he loves to push them and push them to be their best always. And so I think that for both of these teams, I couldn't imagine either one having a better coach for to help these kids grow into great football players. And whether it's in or outside of the game, I'm sure that they have great mentors for the years to come.
We are going to pause for a moment of silence as we listen to the national anthem. All right, we are just moments away from kickoff this evening. It looks like the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish will be kicking off. The Gladiators receiving. The visiting lineup for the Gladiators is number 1, Zion Charlton, 2, Anquan Polynice, 3, Tavon Monix, 5, Dorian Irving Jones, 7, Jaden Williams, 9, Marvelous Jackson, 10, Lewison Desanor, 11, Elijah Barnett, 12, Jaden Porter, 20, Jalen Lindsay, 22, Jerry Joseph, 32, Adam Aguilar, 36, Justin Mason, 40, Amarion Pace, 51, Jaden Hansen, 52, Antonio Franco, 55, Labardo Diaz, 75, Xavier Martel, and number 90, Tyron Harris. For the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish, we are just moments away from the kick. And here come the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish. The kick is smothered by Jalen Lindsay on the first play, giving the Gladiators pretty good field position for their very first drive of the game. The Gladiators have a 12-year-old from Inspiration Academy, number 10, Lewison Desanor, as their quarterback. He is talking to his teammates in the huddle and lines them up for the first snap of the game. It's 1st and 10 at the 40. Desanor under center. He hands this off to Dorian Jones, who is stopped, looks like with a gain of 2 yards. As Coach Mize said this earlier today, this is a very young team for the Irish. It's majority 11-year-olds. You can see they have a bit smaller of a team in terms of size, but what they don't have in size they make up for in heart and passion for the game. It is 2nd and 8. This time pitch to, again, Dorian Jones. A few stiff arms from Jones there before he goes down. Looks like no gain on the play. Looks like maybe he got a yard. Excuse me. It is roughly 3rd and 7. Desanor drops back, goes long for Zion Charlton, but that one is going to go incomplete. He was well defended there by the Irish. You see the Irish dapping their teammates up. That'll bring up 4th and long for the Gladiators.
Yeah, Michelle, and that was close there with on the play down the field. Could have been pass interference. It looked like the cornerback stopped just short had his back to the ball a little bit and might have cut off the route a little bit there with the receiver, but the refs don't call it, and ultimately brings up a 4th down, and it looks like the Gladiators are going to go for it.
I like the aggressiveness here on this first drive of the game.
Well, just from talking to their coach, he seemed like he would do something like this. Oh, it is. No, it is a punt, but it's a short one.
It's a punt by what was running back, and that will give the Fighting Irish the ball at the 41-yard line as they bring out their offense in pretty decent position.
Right. I think that would have been maybe an argument to go for it if they, had the foresight to know it was going to be that short of a punt. Unfortunately, works out that way. But the Fighting Irish set up beautifully here. Really nice field position and a chance to get the drive started that they want to open the game. A nice stop on the opening drive and a chance to take the lead here if they can get in scoring position. And for the Gladiators, they need their defense to hold up. And I don't think that's the start to the game they wanted offensively, but we'll see how it progresses from here.
It is 1st and 10 for the Irish. Quarterback Tyler Harrison in the shotgun.
I'll mention after this play.
Harrison with the handoff to one of his running backs. It looked like he almost found a hole there, but it looked like he gained about 2 yards on that one.
Right, it's a great tackle, and it was really aggressive tackle for a second. It looked like for a second there, got a little too close to the head, but aggressive play there stops them for a short gain. I will say, this great field position for the Fighting Irish, similar to the field position that the Gladiators got with the squib kick they started out with. So both teams starting their opening drives with good field position. We'll see if the Fighting Irish can have a better time here than the Gladiators did.
Harrison drops back, passes out wide. We have a first down and more as Grayson Logston took that one down the field. That was a great first down on the very first drive from the Irish.
Yeah, it was a nice little pass just into the flats for his running back, and he was able to turn up field and get plenty of yards, had a receiver blocking there, and really no defenders around either. So it was a great job by him to just turn his head up field, make sure to get plenty of space there to run and work to the sideline, and able to get themselves a first down and set them up on the Gladiators side of the field.
The Irish 1st and 10. Harrison with the snap, pitches back to Junior Mitchell, who has yards. He is running down the field. He is stopped short of the goal line, but that was an impressive run there by Junior Mitchell.
Well, two big plays here back-to-back for the Fighting Irish. Obviously, that one a little bit bigger than the last one, but you could see Junior Mitchell's speed just fully on display there. Not to discredit the blocking he got on that play, but really just showing off the wheels, running around almost the entire Gladiators defense, almost broke away completely, but at least sets his team up in the red zone for what looks like a first and goal, maybe just short of that, and we could potentially be looking at a touchdown, the Irish going up early here.
This has been such a big first drive for this team. After they found it a bit more of a struggle last time, it looked like that was a fumble there, and it's going to be recovered by the Gladiators. Tough outcome there for the Fighting Irish after such a good drive here in the very first quarter.
That is just, it's so unfortunate. We were just talking about how excited we were for this opening drive for the Fighting Irish. Two big plays, and then to cough up that snap when you're really on the brink of scoring the touchdown, taking the early lead, that's a killer to all their momentum. And the bright side of it is their defense is set up now to potentially get another stop, but just brutal there.
Let's see what this Fighting Irish defense can do. The Gladiators start with a 1st and 10 at about the 12 or 13 yard line. High snap. Quarterback keeps it, drives right up the middle, and there is a flag down on the play. Look like that'll be called against the Gladiators.
Well, if this backs them up even more, they're already pretty close to the end zone. And it looks like it's going to be half the distance. So it might have been a bit of a holding penalty there on the Gladiators. It's going to back them up. You can't afford that. It's already backed up this far to get even further, losing more yards here and set them up now 1st and 15. That's going to be, they put themselves in a tough spot, but we'll see if they can climb their way out of it.
Right. If anything, this gives the Fighting Irish defense, even more of a chance to maybe pull out a big play.
Who knows? Maybe a safety.
Ooh. How exciting would that be, KJ? To start us off with a
here,
safety.
I don't know. I feel like the Gladiators have to go with the safe play here and just run it. But if they drop back and pass, then just a run up the middle.
That was a positive gain for the Gladiators.
And that's pretty much what I expected. You can't drop back and pass in that situation that close to your goal line, especially for these kids. They, just running it was a smart play there. Sets them up with 2nd down. Looks like there's an injury on the field.
Yeah, it looks like we do have a player down. Some of the coaches coming out to check on him. Not sure which Fighting Irish player is down just yet. But the coaches are there taking a look at him.
See his teammates all crowded around. Just hope that he's all right. Unclear what happened on that play. But obviously a lot of bodies congested in that area, trying to stuff the run. And
some nice showmanship from both sides there, taking a knee while he is tended to. It did look like quite a cluster of players during that play.
See all his coaches out there checking on him now. Looks like he's able to get up.
Yeah, he looks like he was brought to his feet, and he will be helped off of the field. Looks like Grayson Logston is limping off of the field. He's going to be supported by one of the assistant coaches. You just hope he's okay. Grayson Logston comes off as the Gladiators face second down. Desanor drops back, running, looking. Passes, it's going to be incomplete. That was off of the hands of one of his receivers. Looked like some of the Fighting Irish were close by, but couldn't come up with anything. And that will bring up 3rd and long for the Gladiators.
Yeah, it was a great play-action rollout concept with cross coming across. It worked to perfection. He was wide open, had about 5 yards of separation from the receiver, just a little out of his reach, just a bit above his head. Could have been a big play, but now, as you mentioned, 3rd and long, and the Gladiators last time their punt did not go very far, so you have to hope that they can pick this up. Otherwise, they're going to need a better punt out of their punter this time around, because they can't afford another 20-yard punt from their 10.
Harrison with the handoff, this time again to Jones. He made great yardage, but he was successfully brought down after earning the 1st down. Few players slow to get up, but everyone back on their feet. That'll be, not quite everyone on their feet. We do have another Fighting Irish player still down.
Another injury early in this game. And after their first defensive drive went so well, now a couple players
Head Coach Mize taking a look at his player, talking to him, trying to understand what's hurting. Looks like it's the right leg that's bothering him.
And this Fighting Irish team already a little undermanned, already playing some different players in different positions than they're used to. So 2 players now dealing with injuries, potentially getting checked on the sideline.
That was Kylo Chin who suffered the injury. He is also limping off of the field next to his coach.
I will say some good news. It does look like Grayson is up on his feet on the sideline, walking around a little bit on his own power. So that is the good news. Still a little bit of a limp, but hopefully he's all right. I don't know if that we'll see him necessarily back out there in the game, but good to see him on his feet walking around a bit.
1st and 10 for the Gladiators. They run it up the middle. He will be brought down after a gain of about 5 yards. That was a nice physical run. That was one of the things that head coach Charlton said that he saw from his team, that they're tough, they're physical players.
Right, and we saw it on the 1st down run, which was a great run. I mean, we didn't talk about it because of the injury we're focused on, but he ran through a couple of tackles there and just plowed through it like it wasn't even affecting him. There was one player that had him right around the knees, and I thought, he's going down here. This might be short of a 1st down, and he powered through it like it was nothing, stayed on his feet, kept his balance. It was incredible. So an incredible 1st down run by Jones, and an impressive play call, pulling out a run there on 3rd and long, not necessarily what the Fighting Irish were expecting, but it paid off.
Sure did. It is now 2nd and 7 for the Gladiators at the 29-yard line. Again, a high snap. Toss again. That one's a little bit too high. He was looking for Zion Charlton that time, but just threw it a little bit over his reach.
Yeah, you mentioned both of those exchanges there. Not exactly the way that the Gladiators wanted it. A little bit of a high snap, able to control it, but the dump off on to the line of scrimmage there, screen pass, might have been a screen pass. It just went a little bit incomplete. Luckily, it was not a backwards pass, so at the very least was not a fumble there, but screen pass to the line of scrimmage didn't quite work out, and now we'll see if the Gladiators can pick this one up as well.
Right, it's another 3rd and long, this time 3rd and 7, again at their 29-yard line. We'll see if they decide to run it again, or if we'll see a ball through the air.
At the very least, you have to go play action here.
Oh, it looked like a fumbled snap, or maybe it was just a quick handoff, but whatever it was about a gain of 1 or 2. That was a good defensive stop there by the Fighting Irish, bringing up 4th down for the Gladiators.
So a couple things there that the Gladiators just, wish it would have went a little differently execution-wise. You just got to get that exchange center and quarterback a little bit better, especially when you're in shotgun. It's a little difficult. It's not the same as under center. Those snaps are hard. Something I'm sure that they're going to continue to work on with these kids. But a couple times there seemed like it threw the quarterback out of rhythm and led to them not being able to execute the play exactly the way they wanted to.
It is 4th down, about 7 yards to go. We have quarterback in the backfield. This time he punts it. It was a better punt this time, but it did touch Zion Charlton before it hit the ground, so that will be marked down on the Fighting Irish half of the field. That'll bring up 1st down, giving the ball back to the Irish. Again, they're starting with pretty good field position for what could potentially be another good drive.
Absolutely, and hopefully they can shake off the fumble from last time and continue to work with the momentum they started to gain with those 2 big plays, and we can see more of those because those are the type of things that I know the Fighting Irish obviously want to get back to, but those are plays that I think, coming into this game, I didn't know that they thought it was going to be that easy for them. Not to say that this plays was, but it looked for a second. I was like, man, they're carving up this Gladiators defense on these 2 plays. So if the game starts to go in that direction for them and they can find some success with using their running backs, obviously we saw the speed they were able to show on display on both those plays. So if that starts to work to their advantage, then maybe they, again, another chance. Their defense has played well so far. Another chance to take the lead early.
All right, Tyler Harrison lines up his team. 3 receivers on his right side. But running. He has a lot of pressure, and that was going to be a huge sack there by Jaden Porter. Coach Charlton warned us about him as a defensive end coming off the edge, and we saw exactly what Coach Charlton predicted in this game.
Yeah, they tried to go with the play-action rollout there themselves, and unfortunately, blocking didn't hold up. Harrison tried to run out of the pocket, escape the pressure, and throw on the run a little bit there, but you could see the athleticism you mentioned there from both the pass rushers bearing down on Porter, eventually getting the sack.
This will bring up 2nd down and 21 for the Fighting Irish. Again, 3 receivers to his right. Harrison drops back, throws this time intended for Jack Newkirk, but that one looked like a little bit of miscommunication there between those 2. That one will go incomplete.
Yeah, it was similar to the play they were able to pick up those 20 yards on last time. They're on the last drive. Just did not work out the way that they wanted it to there, but we'll see. Now they have their own 3rd and long here, and I'm surprised they haven't run it a little bit more on this drive. We see 2 straight pass plays. And Coach Charlton mentioned before the game that he expected the Fighting Irish to air it out, and so far we're seeing exactly that.
This time, only 2 receivers on the right, 2 on his left. He is joined in the backfield by by Kendall Lathrow. It is 3rd and very long for the Fighting Irish. And it looked like that is going to be a false start for the Fighting Irish. Make it 3rd and even longer. That'll take them back to their own 39.
3rd and 25 here. Not to be the bearer of bad news, don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm not sure that their chances of picking this up are exactly high. So personally here, I think they just go for a run, get some yardage here to make sure you protect your quarterback after he took that sack. Just pick up some extra yardage for the punt.
Harrison with a nice spiral. Oh, a nice completion there to Naeem Jefferson. What a grab by him. It's still, unfortunately, short of a 1st down, but that was a great connection there. Finally, the pass play pays off.
But an incredible play, you're right, and sets them up now in a position where they might maybe feel like they can go for it on a 4th down here.
Yes, it looks like 4th and 6. We'll see if they decide to go for it or punt it away.
I think you have to go for this. After building that momentum on that play right there, you just got to keep your offense on the field, and it looks like that's what he's doing.
It sure does. Harrison looking to Coach Mize for some instruction. few whistles on the field. But
looks like the referees are just making sure everybody's lined up correctly.
The Irish, 4th and 6. Harrison
Oof.
drops back, is running, decides to just throw that away, and that's going to result in a penalty on the play. That's going to be against the Fighting Irish. That one, holding called on the Irish. That penalty will be declined as the Gladiators come back onto the field for offense.
Yeah, and in that situation, tough call for Harrison to figure out what to do there. I mean, a couple of his blockers fell down on that play, and a couple of rushers came free, not wanting to take the sack. He did almost fumble on the first sack he took on this drive, so maybe he was a little bit worried about that this time around, decided to throw it away, and lived to fight in the next drive.
This brings up 1st and 10 for the Gladiators at their own 40-yard line. Desanor hands off to Jones in the backfield, but the ref paused that play due to a timeout by the Fighting Irish.
Well, Michelle, I'm sure, this is, I guess, it was close between the first drive and the second drive. I think this is slightly better field position for the Gladiators than they had on the first drive. So after 2 stops, the momentum still is in favor of the Fighting Irish defense. You just wonder at what point fatigue starts to set in, because they came out playing amazing, but of course we saw that the injuries have kind of decimated a little bit, made it so that a few players had to play weren't necessarily or jump onto the field, just shortens your rotations there, substitutions that you can make. So you wonder how that's going to affect them in the game moving forward if they don't get those players back on the field.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the Irish are starting so strong because, Charlton said in their last game what he saw was that his team was actually off to a slow start, but then began to pick it up. Then they began to play fast and play physical, and they ultimately dominated their opponent 39-7 last week. Oh, a fumbled snap, but Desanor was able to recover it, still running, was able to gain some positive yardage on the play. That'll bring up 2nd and 8 for the Gladiators.
And the same problem they had on that last drive, that the quarterback center exchange that they have to clean up here if they want to get down the field and end up getting in the end zone.
That looks like another timeout on the field. We have another Fighting Irish player injured. That's the 3rd injury timeout we've seen in a short span just here in the first quarter tonight.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It looks like he's back up on his feet now, a little bit faster than the other two, so that's an encouraging sign.
Looked like Ryder McGrew there was slow to get back to his feet, but the good thing is that each Fighting Irish player that's gone down has eventually gotten back up, which is always what you want to see in these games, especially early in these games. And you see Coach Mize checking on all of his players out there. It will be 2nd and 8 for the Gladiators.
It looks like the Gladiators are setting up to run this. I have to imagine this is a run.
Oh, looks like Desanor with the pass play. He's intending for Jaden Porter, the edge rusher I was talking about earlier, but that one was well defended by the Fighting Irish corners.
Looked like they almost had a pick there.
It did.
He
was
close.
Double teamed. They read that play very well. I think everyone was anticipating a run, just like you were, but Desanor dropped back quickly.
The defense was ready. The defense was ready for the pass, and it showed there that very dangerous situation where, and we have to give defense credit. I don't want to speak too soon because it is 3rd down here. So if they give a first down here, I'll have to go back to it. But I've been very impressed with the defensive performance so far in this game from the Fighting Irish.
That defensive performance brings us to 3rd and 8 for the Gladiators at their own 42. Desanor looks, passes to his right. This time it's completed to Zion Charlton. It looks really close to the marker. Will they give it?
I think they got it.
They did, or they are marking that one short. It's going to be 4th and inches for the Gladiators.
It looked like just enough to me, but I guess the referees come in and say no, disagree. I mean, I have the bird's eye view, so I feel like maybe but
I would imagine a run play is upon
they're paid.
us.
There's a reason they're paid for, and I'm not for it. So.
KJ,
actually, no, it is a first down. I was right. That's why we listen to me.
I don't know about that, KJ. But it is first down. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Gladiators at midfield. They do run it again. This time it goes to Dorian Jones. That is a big 12-year-old from Sarasota Military Academy Prep.
You can say that again.
You can see the height differential in some of these players.
I mean, this is part of why I've said a few times now they should run it. They should run it. I mean, I don't see. It's hard to tackle this guy. That was 4 yards right there. They just continue to run it. I feel like they're going to have a lot of success. They've had some issues with the quarterback center exchange today, as we've said. Just keep handing it off. Like I formation, hand it off, let him run up the middle. Like. He is tough to tackle.
They are listening to you, KJ. It's Jones again. He breaks a few tackles, gets into the secondary, but he is brought down at the 30-yard line before breaking away for what might have been a touchdown run.
Very close. A great tackle to keep that from happening.
Yes.
But once again, I have to repeat, this is why we listen to me. If they keep running the ball, I have to imagine they're going to get in the end zone very, very quickly here.
I do have to say, Dorian Irving Jones from this vantage point does look like he towers over everyone else on the field who is not a coach or parent.
Yeah, he absolutely does. It's kind of like in the movie The Benchwarmers when the kid comes up and there's a piece of paper that says I am 12 on it. It's that's what it feels like we're seeing right now.
It is 1st and 10 for the Gladiators. That was a fumble on the play, but I think the Gladiators do come up with it. It's going to be a loss of about a yard. That'll bring up 2nd and 11 for the Gladiators on the 31-yard line.
And having talked to Coach Charlton, I have a feeling that this is something he's going to bring up in practice quite a bit. That this, because this is, there's been happened a few times now, and it's stifled their drives a little bit. It's stopped their momentum.
That will bring us, to the end of the first quarter. That was a great first showing here from both sides. We end this quarter still tied 0-0. KJ, what'd you see?
A great defense from both teams, and specifically, obviously the Gladiators did a lot as well. Some, self-inflicted mistakes from both these teams, but overall, both teams playing with a lot of energy and doing a great job keeping the offenses from doing much. But we'll see. Gladiators are knocking on the door at this point.
We will join you right back here on the Florida Athletics Network after a message from our sponsors. All right, welcome back to Fighting Irish football here in Tampa, Florida. We are in the second quarter with the Gladiators looking at about I think second down and I think long.
I think they backed him up. Yeah, backed him up on the penalty. Looked like it was a hold there on the run. They tried to get in the hands of Zion Charlton, one of the playmakers. Unable to get into his hands too much today, as much as they wanted to. It looks like another injury for the Fighting Irish.
It does. It does look like another man down for the Fighting Irish. This team has been plagued with injuries early on in this game. Gives the Gladiators and Fighting Irish both another chance to evaluate their play during the first quarter and put a plan together to put some points on the board the rest of this game. Again, you're watching the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish presented by Irish 31.
I think that was Kari Williams there, but able to get up. Looks like he might be. They're taking him off the field. He's able to walk off on his own power, though. I think they have to take him off because of the injury timeout, but he looked like he was ready to stay out there on the field, and he was not ready to come out, but he has to come out for a play, I think. So
if there's anything about these young players, it is their love for this game, their toughness, their physicality, their just desire to play.
And that's something that one of the assistant coaches touched on, Tori King for the Gladiators, and mentioned he played the game of football. And we asked him, was it weird at all playing after he had success playing in college himself, and now coaching and seeing a lot of the players, anything from that he sees the similarities between them or anything like that. And he mentioned that too, that he sees those times he notices the similarities between the two and recognizes things he had experience himself growing up. It's weird, and it's great to see these kids learn to play and learn a lot of things you mentioned just about the game of football.
Yeah, this game teaches young kids so many valuable lessons. You touched on a few of them, that it's critical to have people like Coach Charlton, Coach Mize teaching them all of the lessons that this game has to offer. This will now be 3rd and 20 for the Gladiators. That was a pickup of 3 yards by Dorian Jones. Now Desanor takes the snap. Again goes to Jones. KJ, I think they heard you. He's broken about 5 tackles there before he was brought down at what looks like what will bring them to about 4th and 6. Another 4th down in this game. That's more than we saw the last time Fighting Irish were playing at home on this field.
Yeah, and it shows how much they've improved since then and how much their defense has improved. And, I mean, Dorian Jones so far, we've seen he's been a tough man to tackle. And they've gone back to him when they really needed him. I mean, first and forever, it felt like. And they said, you know what, we're going to hand it off twice to Jones. And now they pick up a 4th, and it's still a little long. I mean, it's still pretty much at the sticks, 4th and 7-ish, it looks like. But with the way that Jones has been running, maybe you just hand it off to him again and hope he can continue to run through everybody.
All right, 4th and about 6 or 7. There is a quick whistle on the play as the ref communicates to both sides of the field.
Looked like maybe a miscommunication there. I don't know if it was with the coaches or the marker, the people holding the first down markers, 4th down, everything like that. But yeah,
again, a dropped snap. I think Desanor.
Oh my goodness.
Was not able to recover it. The Fighting Irish get that ball, and they are headed the other way on the field. The Fighting Irish get the ball back at the 30-yard line.
Well, it didn't really matter there whether it was recovered by the Irish or just recovered by the Gladiators and tackled as being 4th down. No matter what, the Irish were going to get it as long as they didn't scoop and score it for the Gladiators' purposes. That was the only thing they'd be concerned about there. But yeah, I don't know, Michelle. Between the center and the quarterback today, those exchanges they're not going smoothly.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of friction, but regardless, they have Dorian Jones back there. So as long as he can get the ball and hand it off, they've found success in doing that. You see Jones is still on the field. A lot of these players play on actually in all parts of the game, special teams, offense, and defense, which is part of that kind of what plays into that fatigue you were talking about a little bit earlier.
Right, and you hope that's not part of why we've seen a few more injuries today than we were hoping for, but it could be.
Harrison with a pass to his right, but that one through the hands of his receiver. That will be incomplete and bring up 2nd and 10 for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, Jackson just couldn't quite hold on to that one, and obviously the Irish looking to get in the hands. One of their playmakers, have him make a move in the line of scrimmage, just unable to connect, and it looked like the cornerback was pretty much right there. So unless he could have made a miss, I don't know that there was a lot there for them anyway, but obviously sets up 2nd and long, not what you want. We haven't seen the Irish run much today. I'd like to see them do a little bit more of that.
I was going to say maybe we saw it, but that instead we saw a great completion there to, it looks like Freddie Powell, or maybe that was CJ Grimes, to Freddie Powell. And that will bring up 3rd and short for the Fighting Irish.
Nice little completion there. You mentioned now bringing up 3rd and short. So, and they're going with that same formation they had last time. The dual running backs to Harrison's right and left. You wonder if this is where we see them break out a run. And being 3rd and short, if it's 4th and short, they probably go for it anyway.
And KJ, you called it. He heads right up the middle, stiff arms, but then is brought down just short of the 50-yard line. That was a nice handoff there to Kendall Lathrow and a great run by the little guy. That was a great pickup from him.
Every time these two teams run the ball, good things happen. That was a great run there. It was a pickup of, 8-9 yards there, able to get the first down a little bit more. And that stiff arm looking like Derrick Henry out there with that stiff arm.
He sure did.
That was great. That was great play for the Irish and setting them up now around midfield.
All right, looks like there might be a little bit of blood on the field, so we're taking a quick timeout to make sure we got everyone cleaned up before we continue play. KJ, I know you're a big fan of the run. Do you think we'll see a little
blood? I was going to say no. No, definitely not. I don't know what you're talking about. No, the run, yes. You were saying.
Do you think we'll see a little bit more of that because they've found success when doing so?
I'm not sure. We talked when we talked to Coach Charlton before the game for the Gladiators. He mentioned expecting to see the Irish air it out, and that's what they've done. That's kind of typical of their game plan. So I fully expect that they'll continue to stick with that, but mixing in the run a little bit more and catching the Gladiators off guard because they come in saying, hey, we're preparing for the pass. We're ready for them to air it out a lot. So if you throw a few runs in there like that, you're probably going to find some open space for a team that isn't necessarily expecting it. And you figure on a play like 3rd and 1, 3rd and short, that'd be the time when the Gladiators would be gearing up for the run, and Irish were still able to find success with that. So I would keep going with that. I would continue to work the run game at least until the Gladiators are able to stop it, and then maybe you change the game plan. But I'd like to see them mix in a few more runs here. We saw it when they have run the ball right there, and then the pitch earlier in the game, the biggest play so far. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, those two plays have worked out well for them, so they should keep that up.
1st and 10, a throw from Harrison to number 5, Chase Brown again with the catch there. That'll bring up another first down for the Fighting Irish. That's the second one Brown has been able to haul in on the left side of this field.
Nice job keeping his feet in bounds there, twisting, making sure to pull it in without going out of bounds there before making the catch. Just an incredible grab. Incredible. And we've seen a few plays now where the Irish have executed at a very high level on the past game. So you got to give them a lot of credit. And for as much as I'm pleading for them to run the ball, it seems like every time I really make a huge case, like they got to run the ball, they break off a big pass play like that.
KJ is just upset that his headset isn't communicated down onto the field. It is 1st and 10 for the Fighting Irish.
Well, I'm just saying this is why Coach Mize is way
Is
smarter
in
than I
charge. Harrison hands it off. It's a good run here.
Oh.
Looks like he came close to getting a first down, but he took a hard hit at the end of that run.
Looked like almost, I don't know.
Did he
what
get
that
the full
was.
10? He did. He got a full 10 yards there. That brings up another first down for the Fighting Irish.
He kind of got
That was
twisted
Kendall
down
Lathrow
there.
on the run.
He kind of got twisted down there by his just grabbed almost on the way by. Hit the turf hard there, but a great run from the Irish again. And look, I mentioned run pass. We were talking about run pass, all this stuff. What's working, what's not. It seems like everything's working right now for them on this drive. Since the second down long play that set them up with the 3rd and short. So keep doing whatever you're doing. It seems like they got the as I say that.
A bad snap there. That just rolled along the ground, and that's going to be a huge loss there for the Fighting Irish. They had a lot of momentum there, but that missed snap had Tyler Harrison back to the 39-yard line.
And you know
It'll
what
bring
happened
up
there, Michelle?
2nd and very long for
You know
the
what
Fighting
happened
Irish.
there?
What happened,
It's a
KJ?
classic case of the announcer's jinx. Just as I'm saying, everything's working, firing on all cylinders, run, pass, you want to try a fake, whatever you want to do, everything's working, and then the mishap on the snap. So I take full responsibility for that. That's completely my fault. Announcer's jinx. I accept it.
We have another timeout on the field. As a reminder, you are watching the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish presented by Irish 31. We will join you right back here on the Florida Athletics Network right after this timeout. Welcome back to the Florida Athletics Network. We are in the 2nd quarter of the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish and the Bradenton Gladiators. We have 2nd and very long for the Fighting Irish at the 39-yard line. Again, another bad snap there, and the quarterback is sacked way behind the line. That is another loss of about 10 there for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, and that I'm so disappointed. I was so invested in this drive. It's going great for them, and then all of a sudden 2 bad snaps. Harrison was able to control that for a second, but just the pass rushers were able to get around the edge. He had to back up. He was kind of in a scramble after the bad snap and having to pick it up and kind of not aware of kind of what was going on, trying to collect himself. And so
the Fighting Irish though do get a bit of an advantage there. It looked like there was a flag on the play against the Gladiators.
Oh, wow.
So they are actually going to be saved from that massive loss.
That is huge.
And it'll be a replay of 2nd down with about maybe 3 yards behind the chains.
That is absolutely huge. That could potentially save this drive. And now you're talking about potentially the Irish again being able to take the lead here.
Harris, again, another low snap. He hands it off, and he is stopped right behind the line of scrimmage. That was, again, a handoff to Kendall Lathrow.
Well, I'll give Harrison some credit there for being able to control the snap and still get that handoff off cleanly, even though it's still a little low. Obviously, not as low as the other ones, but he did a nice job being able to still execute the play, even though he struggled a little bit with that one down by his feet.
That brings up 3rd down for the Fighting Irish. Same formation. Harris takes the snap. This time airs it out to his right side. Looked like miscommunication all around there. His receiver with his hands in question was not ready for that pass there. That incompletion was intended for number 2, Jack Newkirk.
Yeah, and he had a lot of defenders in the area. Looked to the guy who was about 5 yards past where Newkirk was. He kind of lost it in the air too a little bit, unable to secure it. So, unfortunately could not connect there. But it looks like about 4th and medium, 4th and long, that 4th and long here for the Irish. That they're going to decide to go for it, and with where they are on the field, their field position, I can't disagree with them, but they got a long way to go.
Harris with the snap. That was a well-defended ball. Anquan Polynice got his hand on that before Chase Brown even had a chance at receiving that one. He was heavily defended. A nice tight spiral there from Harris, but just incomplete at the end of it. It was a nice drive there, KJ. We saw some really big plays. They went almost, 3/4 of the field, but couldn't ultimately convert there.
Yeah, a couple bad snaps got him out of rhythm, and part of it was that. Part of it was on those last 2 plays. Just really, really good defense from the Gladiators, making sure everything was covered up, not allowing any openings for that Fighting Irish offense. And, I think one of the things we're seeing here is just amazing defense from both sides. I mean, it's like, we got to stop here, flag on the play.
That was a flag from the outset of that play. Looks like that is going to be called on the coaches.
Sideline warning against the Fighting Irish.
It is still 1st and 10 for the Gladiators at their own 29-yard line.
You hear about Sean McVay as the get-back guy where he grabs him and just says, they need one of those.
Coach Mize needs a get-back guy. A former football player himself, he's no stranger to the sidelines. Another flag. This time it's going to be against the Gladiators. It was a false start. That'll take them back 5, giving them 1st and 15.
Penalties, snaps. A couple of these mistakes are hurting the Gladiators here and stifling their offensive drives and just giving this tough Fighting Irish defense, which has played exceptionally today, some an even more advantageous, put in an even more advantageous position to kind of take advantage and continue to get these stops. I mean, it's when you have playing against a good defense like the Fighting Irish have been today, you can't afford to give them those extra put them in an even better position like that.
Desanor hands off to Jones.
Oh my goodness.
You hear the coaches shouting, "Go low, go low, go low." You saw the Fighting Irish trying to get him down, but they were tackling him a little bit too high. And when you're facing a guy of that size, you have to go low in order to be able to bring him down.
It looked like he was going to break out of every single one of those tackles. I mean, how many? It's like 5 or 6 tackles. He just bounced off there. One more, and he probably would have been gone. Like it's just unbelievable, his ability right now to just run through every arm tackle that's being thrown at him, and just I can't believe it.
A big gain on that play, and another one on this one. He's going to pick up the 1st down for the Gladiators, giving them. They will spot that ball at the 44-yard line.
And he broke another 3 tackles there. I mean,
right
he
up
just
the middle.
The only reason I could think to not just continue to hand it off every single time would be just you don't want to overwork him. You don't want to put too much on his plate. But I mean, it is working like a charm every single time they go to it.
Desanor. This time,
oh my goodness,
what do? Hand it to the same guy. This time, Jones makes it past half field, but we again have A Tampa Bay Fighting Irish player down on the field.
Timeout on the field. Injury timeout.
Another injury for these Fighting Irish. It looks like there might actually be 2 down on the play. KJ, I see you shaking your head. What are your thoughts on these injuries?
I mean, I'm just racking my brain thinking about how these injuries keep piling up and how the Fighting Irish are going to deal with them. And it's just, they're obviously going against a physical team out there, a team that a little bit older than they are overall. And you mentioned kind of the size advantage that you saw earlier in the game between the two teams. Bit of an age difference, average age difference. Obviously, it's still 11 and 12-year-olds, but most of the players on the Gladiators 12, most of the players on the the Fighting Irish 11. And I mean, we mentioned Jones so much. That is a physical guy to try to bring down, and you wonder if that's part of what's leading to some of these injuries for the Fighting Irish.
This player down was Arvon Washington. Looks like he is being helped off of the field slowly as the Gladiators retake field position. It is 2nd and 3 for the Gladiators. We'll see if they run it again.
I would.
Tesnor, a little bit of a fumbled snap there, but he was able to catch it. He fell forward for a gain of about a yard. But we have another Fighting Irish player slow to get up. He is able to. Excuse me, there was no gain on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 3 for the Gladiators.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident this is going to be a handoff.
And they give it to Trusty Jones. He breaks 1 tackle, 2 tackle, another tackle. He is off to the races. There's 1 player between him and the end zone as he is going to run it in for the first score of the night. Who else could it be other than Dorian Irving Jones, KJ? That was an impressive run through multiple tackles to get the first 6 points of the game.
It was just a matter of time until we saw him break off one play like that. He was breaking tackle after tackle after tackle. 3rd and short. Obviously, you go to Jones there, and he does the same thing again. And one thing you notice about his style, and I can even tell, you don't see the blazing speed at the beginning of his runs, just because he's running through so many people. You're not going to see him show off that speed. But once he gets through all those tackles, once he breaks through all those tackles, shakes them all off, then he was able to show off the speed that we knew was there already. We knew he had it in him. And he gets into the open field, and just no one was going to catch him. The stiff arms, everything. I mean, he is a complete running back. Like, this is he might be able to play in high school right now with his size and all his skill. It's amazing. Like, I didn't imagine today we were going to be seeing someone this talented.
That was a 49-yard touchdown run from the running back Dorian Irving Jones. They will attempt a 2-point conversion with 11 seconds left in the half. But what an impressive run there, KJ. There's just something to be said for going 49 yards, taking it to the house after also just being handed the ball basically that entire drive.
Yeah, look, it was, we mentioned kind of the workload and how much they're going to hand it off to him. I mean, he is their best player, but you don't want to overwork one of these kids, but it is working every single time. And, there were a few he had, not just on that drive, but through the entire game where he was like 1 short, 1 tackle, 1 player, like just 1 more player to beat. And you mentioned, I think there was one on this side of the field in the first quarter where shoestring tackle took him down. There was one on that drive where they barely took him down and it looked like he was ready to break free. And like we said, just a matter of time. It was going to happen eventually that he was going to break one. We saw how close he was throughout the entirety of the game. And we saw it there. He got in there, no surprise.
It looks like they will actually be kicking it. It looks like Dorian Jones once again back to take the kick. He sends that one far left. It will remain 6-0 Gladiators. There's not much you can say after even that kick like that when you see a run that precedes it.
His legs were tired, obviously. I mean, he just ran 49. So, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take the touchdown run, absolutely. But, yeah, just a little left on the kick. Unfortunate. But, hey, I mean, the way it was, 2 yards, I mean, maybe just direct snap it to him and try to have him run it in just for the 2 point. But, it doesn't take away from the incredible run, the incredible performance he's had here today.
It sure doesn't. We have a little over 10 seconds left in the half for the Fighting Irish, who are about to receive the ball. But this game is definitely still in reach for both teams to take it. It's been a very defensive first half, with the first big offensive gain there moments ago.
The Fighting Irish have had a few good drives. They've gotten close to the end zone a couple times now. So, I mean, I'm not exactly worried at all about their ability to get down there. It's just punching it in once they get down there, limiting those mistakes, and finding the end zone.
Here comes the kick from Dorian Jones. Short kick there. It is covered up by the Fighting Irish at the 50-yard line. Looked like Max Becker got on top of that one.
Dorian Jones looks like he's limping a little bit.
Or excuse me, it looks like Jackson Conti got on top of that one. Not bad field position for the Irish, but with only 11 seconds to go, let's see what they decide to do.
And after all that amazing, playing kicker, playing running back, it's tough. You see Dorian Jones being held back to the sideline by one of his coaches. You just hope that he's okay and he can return for the second half, but we'll see. He'll get at least a bit of a break here with the Irish finishing out the offensive half supposedly here, and getting the halftime break as well.
It is 1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. 11 seconds left in the half. The Fighting Irish with the ball. We'll see what they decide to do with just moments before halftime. Tyler Harrison drops back, looks to his left, overthrows Chase Brown. That'll be an incompletion for the Fighting Irish. Brings us to 2nd and 10.
Yeah, trying to break off a big play here as the half trickles to an end. Trying to get a chunk play to set them up for a potential shot at the end zone. So kind of to be expected. Looked like the Gladiators were ready for it. And you can see now the Gladiators given the double high safety look. They're probably have strict instructions, I imagine, from their coach not to let anything behind them. And so it's going to be tough. I mean, the Irish, in situations like this, the Gladiators know exactly what the Irish want to do. So it's, they're in a position where they have to figure out how to get some yardage here in spite of that.
7 seconds left. Pitches to Kendall, who's now throwing it, but this one is almost intercepted by Zion Charlton. It was a nicely designed play, but not quite the execution coach was looking for. And that play brings us to halftime. Gladiators lead it 6-0. KJ, what'd you see in this half?
Well, I liked the trick play. I liked them trying to pull it out, just not quite enough arm strength. The receiver was so wide open there, but I outran his running back's arm a little bit, unfortunately. So just could not quite execute it. But so far, I think both teams have a lot of positives to take out of that half, particularly defensively. Both had some great things they showed on offense too. Just both have those mistakes as well. They need to clean up in the second half, and maybe we'll see if they're able to. Maybe we'll see a bit more scoring.
We will look forward to seeing if that is the case in the second half. Again, you are watching the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish presented by Irish 31. It is 6-0, Gladiators leading as we head into halftime. As a reminder, through the game of football, we will mold leaders on and off the field that exemplify character, integrity, humility, and a team-first mentality within a championship culture, albeit on family, accountability, transparency, and a flat-out will to succeed. I'm Michelle Montaigne, joined by KJ Doyle. We will see you right back here on the Florida Athletics Network in the third quarter after we see and recognize our sponsors. Welcome back to the Florida Athletics Network, where the Bradenton Gladiators currently lead the Fighting Irish 6-0. We enter the third quarter with the Fighting Irish back to receive. And Lewison Desanor takes the kick for the Gladiators as looks like a contested ball down around the 30-yard line. Looks like a bit of confusion there from the Fighting Irish on who was going for the ball, but they ultimately come up with it. It'll be a first down for the Fighting Irish at the 30-yard line.
And that was close. I mean, and it looked like, I don't know if it was intentional or not because there was the injury on the play, but it looked like the Gladiators were almost going like onside kick style at the end of the first half. Mm-hmm. And they just kick it away there and almost recovered it on that one. So that would have been crazy if they were able to set themselves up with that kind of field position, but luckily the Irish able to hold on to it and make sure, kind of avoid disaster there.
The Irish trail by 6. Some difficult or more difficult field position than what they faced earlier in this game. Have 70 yards to go. We'll see what they do with it. Tyler Harrison takes the snap, hands it off as the Irish run right up the middle with a gain of about a yard on the play, bringing us to 2nd and 9.
Michelle, it was notable that Dorian Jones was not kicking there for the Bradenton Gladiators, and we saw he kind of limped off the field there after kicking at the end of the first half. So hopefully he's okay. We'll see maybe if he's out there on the next offensive drive, but something to monitor.
2nd down. Tyler Harrison on the run. Decides to throw it away. He was heavily pressured, and there will be a flag down on the play after that incompletion.
Well, I can't imagine that was intentional.
Looks like intentional grounding will be called against the against the Fighting Irish.
Huh.
That will make it 3rd and long for the Fighting Irish on their own end of the field.
Well, I was just gonna say, I thought he was far enough outside the pocket that they wouldn't have called intentional grounding there, but evidently not. I guess it was closer than it looked from up here, but yeah, the intentional grounding will back them way up, and this puts them in a tough spot.
It is 3rd and very long. Another low snap for Tyler Harrison. This time he is looking for
oh my goodness,
Jackson Conti. He makes the catch, and he was inbounds. That was an impressive catch by Jackson Conti to pick up the first down for the Fighting Irish. What a nice connection there between the two.
That was unbelievable. What a twist and grab right on the sideline, right at the marker. And but perfectly fell in his hands in perfect position. I mean, that was incredible. What an incredible connection there from Harrison and Jackson there.
A nice little toe touch even? Was that an NFL player there?
He's twist and grab. He just very contort his body there, make sure he's in the perfect position just to catch it over his shoulder, keep it out of the reach of the defender too. Amazing.
A very impressive play there to keep this drive alive. Another low snap. A nice handoff, and looks like he was able to pick up the first down, but there was a flag down in the backfield. That was a nice run by Kendall Lathrow, but it looks like that flag is going to be against the Fighting Irish. It'll be a holding call on the Irish. That will send them back to their own 30-yard line. We will replay first down.
You hate to see a run like that taken away. And he was close to breaking that one too. Just like we said, Jones was close a few times. He's been close a few times. And the penalty bringing him back, they were able to get out of the intentional grounding last time when it backed him way up. So I don't want to say too much about him right now, but just hate to have a play like that called back.
Tyler Harrison running into his own man before going down. The pocket just collapsed right around him, and he was taken down for a loss. Short loss on the play. bringing up 2nd and long for the Fighting Irish.
And just not enough time there really to get the pass off from Harrison. The pocket collapsed rather quickly, and not much you can say. I mean, they've had some incredible plays in the passing game today, but just not enough time to set one up there.
This time Harrison lines up. He has 3 receivers out to his left. It is 2nd and about 20 for the Fighting Irish. Again, pressure quickly, and they get to him without a chance for him to get out of there. That will be another loss on the play. A big sack there for Jaden Porter.
Oof, I mean, you have the penalty that backs you up, and then you have the 2 sacks, and now, I mean, they were in a tough 3rd down last time around, and they got it, but I feel like it's an even more difficult position now. I would be very, very impressed if they found some way out of this hole.
Tyler Harrison throws it quickly. It goes to the same guy and almost is intercepted there by Tavon Monix. Monix was able to just get in front of Chase Brown, but that ball went right through his hands. Luckily, it wasn't an interception, but that will bring us to 4th down and about 30 yards for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, a jump ball there for both players. Good defense, right? In the area, able to disrupt it enough to cause the incompletion. But it'll really depend on the punt here. Depends on how good of a punt they get out of the Fighting Irish are able to get here to decide, whether or not that interception, I guess, would have been too impactful if it's a short punt. Maybe the interception would have set them up in this pretty much same field position anyway. But we'll see. We'll see if they're able to get a good one off here and hopefully back the Gladiators up enough to keep this just a 6-0 game.
Looks like it's Kendall Lathrow was back to punt, but that was a missed snap once again. He was able to recover it, but that'll be a 1st down for the Gladiators with excellent field position.
Michelle, that play kind of brings to mind the fact that, one of the best coaches in the NFL, Bill Belichick, was asked the other day about his long snapper, Joe Cardona, and he gave about a 9-minute answer about the value of his position. And you kind of see it there when you have the long snapper. The responsibility is so high to get that snap off and make sure, because if you don't and you mess up that snap, you're giving up great field position. So that's why it's one of the most important positions in football. I don't want to go that far. Maybe not one of the most important, but that's the value of the position, why it's important, even though some people want to discredit it at times. Obviously, Bill Belichick's someone that knows the value of it, and fully on display there, because if your center messes up the snap on 2nd down and 3rd down, you live to fight another day. You can punt it away still, but when the long snap is there's a mistake on that one, it's all over. So it's why there are teams that specifically have players designated as their long snapper.
Yeah, and that mistake set up 1st and goal at the 5-yard line for the Gladiators. It is not something that you want to see, especially as a coach. He quickly called that timeout to get a message to his defense. They need to put up a strong stand here, as the Gladiators have 4 plays to go 5 yards to get another touchdown and potentially extend their lead even more.
But we'll say this. The Fighting Irish defense has played very well today. So they've shown that they have the capability to get a stop in this position. It's just a matter of doing that. And look, this is a little bit of adversity. This is maybe some of the most adversity they faced in the game. Already facing a deficit. Now 1st and goal for the Gladiators set up, but we'll see if they can still get the stop here.
They hand it to none other than Dorian Jones.
It's good to see him back out there on the field.
And he gets a short gain on the play to bring up 2nd and goal.
Actually, it looks like that was Marvelous Jackson, so Dorian Jones still not out there on the field, so he may be dealing with a bit of an injury, as we kind of suspected.
This time the quarterback keeps it. It looks like he's still on his feet. The pile collapses very close to the goal line. We'll see if the referees mark it short. It looks like they're still digging through the pile.
But this should be third down. It looks like they are saying it's going to be third down now. And the Fighting Irish defense holding up right now. They have not allowed the Gladiators to get in just yet. So who knows? This goal line stop, this opportunity for a big-time goal line stop, big momentum shift still available. But, even with that being the case, they're on the difference between being on the 5 and on the 1 yard line. So now this is where you really have to stand up and you need someone to make an incredible defensive play.
Third and goal. Quarterback keeps it, runs right in there. That is going to be the second touchdown of the game for the Gladiators. It is 12-0 to Bradenton.
And they go back to the quarterback keeper, do it a couple times there on the goal line, and that's pretty much all you need. Just need a little bit of blocking your quarterback to find a hole, and did a nice job doing that and finding his way into the end zone. That's with the blocking they've had today, you got to give him credit. Obviously, we've mentioned Jones a lot, Dorian Jones, what he's done, but you got to give the blockers credit too, and they were fully on display there.
This time they're going for 2. They hand it off again, this time to number 9, Marvelous Jackson. But he is going to be stopped short of the goal line. That is the second point after attempt for the Gladiators that has fallen short.
Right,
Good defense in it there for the Fighting Irish.
Right, first the kick and then the conversion there, both unsuccessful. So still 12-0, and we'll see. The 2 score leads, it's tough. It's tough for the Fighting Irish to overcome. But all they need to focus on right now is just the first drive ahead of them. If they can score on this one, then we can start talking about the comeback. But right now, they just need to worry about getting points right here.
We've seen a variety of different kicks during the kickoffs from the Gladiators so far this game. Sometimes short, sometimes long. So we'll see what kind of field position they put the Fighting Irish in this time, as Lewison Desanor is back to take the kick. The Gladiators lead 12-0 in the third quarter with a little under 5 minutes to play in this quarter. That was a good catch and nice return there by Jack Newkirk. I know in the last game that the Fighting Irish played here, Coach Mize talked a lot about running north and south instead of east and west.
Right.
Looked like Newkirk took some of that to heart, ran north immediately, and was able to gain a few yards there.
And not the first time today we've seen the Irish set up with decent enough field position in the hopes that they can get a good drive together. I just think that the negative plays, the sacks, the penalties, if they just got rid of those, their offense has been good enough to get points on the board. The fumbles, it's about limiting that mistake football. And if they do that, they've shown us today they have a lot of talent out there. Some incredible talent. And the runs they've had, obviously the pitch early on we saw in the game, and a lot of the plays in the passing game, they've had a number of plays down the field where they've had some incredible catches and some connections between Harrison and his receivers. It's just about limiting those mistakes, and if they did that, I think they would have at least 2 touchdowns already here today with the way their offense has been playing, because the scoreboard doesn't show, I think, how well they've honestly played offensively.
I completely agree. 1st and 10. A bullet there from Tyler Harrison right into the hands of Jackson Conti, but he was not able to hang on to it. That ball had a lot of speed on it.
Yeah, a little bit of a levels concept there. Had the slant above, looked like a drag below, trying to throw the drag route, and unfortunately just couldn't hang on to it. Had some space to run. Maybe was looking a little bit upfield before able to secure it. But, it's not the end of the world. Still second down. But, yeah, the drop, unfortunate. Not what you want.
Harrison has Chase Brown out to his left. He goes through his reads, looks, finds
Ooh.
Jack Newkirk in the backfield. He runs past
my
a number
goodness.
of defenders. He's gone past everyone. He's so close to the goal line, but is brought down just prior to getting in the end zone. A nice run there by Jalen Lindsay, who had a bit of a size advantage there on Jack Newkirk, but what an impressive run. We do see a flag down on the field. We'll see who that one is called against. That is going to be against the Fighting Irish. They called a personal foul on the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, it might have been a crackback block there, or block in the back. It looked like I think I saw it on the sideline a little bit when he was coming around the edge. I was looking for the flag. I didn't see it thrown initially, but it looked like maybe that's what the officials were going to call. Takes a big run off the board. Probably would have got in the end zone there if they, on the next play or so, if they were able to if that run stood. But again, one of those penalties taken away. What was an incredible play and a display of the talent on this Fighting Irish offense. And
I think it was also a display of, the ages here, right? We know Coach Mize said this is a very young team. You saw Jack Newkirk, who really ran past a number of defenders, but then you have, a 12-year-old in Jalen Lindsay come up and be able to run him down and get to him right ahead of the end zone. And I think a lot of that you can attribute to the difference here in ages. But like you said, a huge run taken away from the Fighting Irish. And now they are 15 yards behind the sticks to start their second down.
Right, and Coach Mize did mention, he mentioned the age difference that we would see today and that potentially working against them. But he made sure to mention it was not an excuse. They're coming out here to win. They're coming out here to play football. Absolutely not going to use that as some sort of excuse for his team today. But more so to just emphasize the fact that they're using these opportunities to get better and to learn. And this is certainly an opportunity to do that. And, the players can get down on themselves and everything like that. But I think the fact that things, didn't go their way that play can be discouraging, but a teaching moment.
Second and very long. Another low snap for Harrison and another pocket collapse. He will be sacked to make it third and even longer. They are placed at their own 22 or 23 yard line. But like you said, KJ, they've shown the ability here on offense to make some of these big plays. It's the penalties and their own self-inflicted wounds that's really been limiting their opportunity to get these points on the board.
Yeah, and who knows? We've seen them convert some third and longs here as another flag comes out.
That'll be another penalty against the Fighting Irish. A false start there will add 5 more yards to this already huge deficit as they face third and almost half the field.
Right. Well, who knows? This would be a long conversion. This would probably be the longest one of the day if memory serves. So, but I'm not going to rule it out. They've surprised me already today with some of the conversions they've had. So I still believe in this offense. We saw some of the big plays. They just almost broke off like a 50-yard run on one of their last plays, or a 50-yard catch and run. So I'm not going to rule it out. Who knows? They could make something happen here.
Third down. Tyler Harrison looking to his right. Was looking for Jack Newkirk once again, but was a little bit behind him. That is another incompletion here on third down. And that brings us to fourth down for the Fighting Irish.
And I guess you have to punt here, even though you are down 12-0. It's too long of a conversion, and you have to hope that your defense can make a play for you. And you're probably going to give him the short field here. I imagine this punt gets somewhere around the 40, 50-yard line, somewhere around midfield, hopefully, if it's a good one. But yeah, even though you're losing in this game and it's starting to get late, taking closer to the fourth quarter, it's a two-score game. you can't go for it on this long of a field. If it was a shorter distance, I imagine they might have gone for it. But
Well, KJ, contrary
well,
to
I guess I'm wrong.
popular belief, they do indeed go for it. We have a stiff arm and a little bit of a gain there, but that was a big stop for the Gladiators on 4th down. That'll be a turnover on downs, and again, they are just handed such nice field position. They're within their own or within the 20-yard line.
Well, they trusted their big play offense. And that's something we brought up, their ability to break off big plays. So they trusted their ability to do so again there, and it didn't quite work out. But it's as much as it is, potentially a risk to set it up. It's a sign of faith a little bit, I think, in both sides of the ball for Coach Mize and his team, showing faith in the offense to get the job done, but if they don't, showing faith in the defense to get a stop with a short field.
This time, Tessenor drops back. He was looking for Anquan Polynice on his right side, but that ball was incomplete. That will bring up 2nd down for the Gladiators.
And that was a close one. That was about to be a big play. It looked like it was about to be a touchdown for a second there. But that the Irish given a bit of a break there and potentially able to, now 2nd and long. Maybe they can get a stop here.
It does look like this time their handoff doesn't give them too much yardage. That was Marvelous Jackson. Again, we still don't have Jones back in the game. He is and remains on the sideline.
And Michelle, you and I were talking about this before the game, but the name Marvelous Jackson, fantastic. I cannot say enough about whoever is listening that's related to Marvelous Jackson or his parents or anything, like, tremendous job. This the best name I may have. Honestly, the best name I may have ever heard.
Desnor looking. Again, I think he went for Anquan Polynice on the right side, but was unable to connect. That will bring up 4th down for the Gladiators. This has been a good, important defensive play here for the Fighting Irish as they look to go one more down and hold the Gladiators to prevent giving them a chance to go up 3-0.
Perhaps the defining play of the game right here.
And before the defining play, we have an offsides call. That is going to make it 4th and shorter for the Gladiators. A number of penalties here tonight for the Fighting Irish has really made a difference in this game so far in terms of points allotted and
yeah, it looks like they just got a little bit excited there.
the quarterback keeps it on this one. Were they able? It looks like it's close, but he was able to get the 1st down for the Gladiators. This will bring up 1st and goal. That was a nice run right up the middle by Lewis and Desenor.
And that's the advantage of that 4th and 8 turning into 4th and 3.
Oh, an impressive catch there off the right side as Anquan Polynice hauls it in for another touchdown for the Gladiators. They are going to go up 18-0. That was a nice quick read, quick pass. Great reception there from Polynice. And
well, we mentioned the 4th down being a huge play. Now, not exactly a profound thought there, but obviously you go from 4th and 8 to 4th and 3. You allow the Gladiators to go, with a QB keeper, like great in short yardage, able to do that, and then the pass to the end zone, then in the very next play.
That was no good. They handed it off to KJ's favorite named person ever, Marvelous Jackson, but he fell short of the goal line. The Gladiators will keep their lead at 18-0 with a little over a minute left in the third quarter.
Well, you hand the Gladiators short field, and they were able to take advantage, go up 18-0 now. And I would say put the game in pretty much, close to in the books at the very least. I would say probably wrap the game up. A 3-score game that's going to be probably too tall of a task for the Fighting Irish at this point in the game. But yeah, if they could have gotten that stop on fourth down, perhaps it would have been a little bit different. But the penalty gives them the opportunity to run one of their go-to plays, run behind their great offensive line, which we know is coached by Torrey King, the former offensive lineman at Sterling College, and he mentioned before the game about how talented he feels like the group is, about how much he's loved being able to coach them, how much potential he sees in them. And when you're being coached by, a former collegiate athlete, that's going to help a lot too. So, all of those things coming together have made for the Gladiators' rushing attack being electrifying today.
Nice kickoff there from Desenors. Shorter this time, and a good return by Kendall Lathrow. He takes it to midfield to set up 1st and 10 for the Fighting Irish at the 50-yard line. We'll see how the Fighting Irish continue to fight here late in the third quarter as they are down by 3 scores.
And I mean, we referenced their last home game here, the last one that we were able to call, being, kind of a lopsided game for them. This one less so, but they were able to get on the board near the end there. So you wonder if near the end here, as things start, the game starts to slow down a little bit for both teams. If they're able to get in a bit of a rhythm, takes the pressure off a little bit, and maybe able to put some things together that they can take from this game, move forward, and feel good about.
Especially as a group of younger players looking to just learn. And that, you see flags flying. They handed it off to Kendall Lathrow in the backfield, and you could see that face mask from a mile away. Multiple flags flying.
It's going to be a big penalty for the Gladiators and should set up the Fighting Irish with much better field position here.
I will say we've seen less injuries since that first quarter, early second. It's a promising sign. You hate to see injuries in young players. So we're trending in the right direction. We'll see what there's a lot of discussion around the flags on the play. It sounds like there were 2 face masks on the call, 1 offensive, 1 defensive. Those penalties cancel each other out. We will replay first down. It's 1st and 10, Fighting Irish at the 50. Pitch to the backfield, trying to throw again this time. It is intercepted by Zion Charlton as he is taken out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Disappointing drive there for the Fighting Irish.
Well, they go back to the running back pass again. As you mentioned, they try it at the end of the first half. They try it there, and pretty much the same story. But this time, Zion Charlton able to pick it off, and big play for him, one of his biggest plays of the game. They tried to get the ball in his hands a number of times, but Charlton able to get the pick there and pretty much put this one in a great position for the Gladiators to potentially just run this one out. And Charlton, of course, we mentioned we talked to Coach Charlton over the game. His son out there making plays. He has to love to see that. These two are around each other pretty much all the time. He said he's his football coach, his track coach, his dad. It's like he's coaching him so much that he can't tell the difference between when he's coaching dad anymore. It's just like doesn't even know what to call him sometimes. He mentioned like when I'm on the football field, you're telling me do I call you coach or dad or like what Because it's like weird, like to say like yes, Dad, when you're on the football. It's like when your coach is talking to you. I don't, but it's great, honestly. It's I mean he mentioned to us just it's the good and bad that comes along with it, but it's got to be so much fun to be able to spend that much time with your son. And we mentioned that to him, and he said absolutely it is, and and you can see, hey, it may be. I'm sure he doesn't like it all the time, the coach and the dad thing. It has to be frustrating sometimes, but it must pay off when you come up with picks like that, interceptions like that. I know his dad helps put him in position to do things like that. So it's just that I when I immediately recognize you coach talking about him before the game, and it's great to see that those two have that kind of relationship. And there's not the only coach-son combo in sports. So, but those are always, anytime you come across those, always very special.
Speaking of head coach Jeff Charlton, he just called a timeout for his team. 1st and 10 for the Gladiators. It was a handoff to Anquan Polynice, and he was running through a number of Fighting Irish players on that play. Looks like he will get a gain of, no gain on the play. 2nd and 10 for the Gladiators. This will bring us to the end of the 3rd quarter. KJ, another score for the Gladiators this quarter. Another attempt cut short.
Of scores, right? Another couple of scores. They scored both their second touchdowns in this half. Yeah. Obviously the quarter that kind of puts things away for the Gladiators. And, they were handed 2 short fields, so they were able to put up touchdowns in quick succession there. Obviously the Irish trying to make something happen. Obviously the punt that was a little bit of a mistake on the long snap there, and then the going for it on 4th down. But give them credit. With their offensive line, again, we've mentioned fantastic offensive line, able to take advantage and get themselves in a great position to run this one out in the 4th quarter and come away with a win.
We will see what the Fighting Irish are able to pull out in the 4th quarter. You are watching the Tampa Bay Fighting Irish on the Florida Athletics Network. We will join you right back here as we enter the 4th. Play of the 4th quarter. They are set up nicely at the 49-yard line, and hopefully they can take advantage of being on this side of the field as they enter the 4th.
Right, big momentum shift, especially after the interception. Big momentum shift, especially after the interception. Obviously the Irish wanted to just end the game on a positive note and feel like they, can get something going here. The interception, not what they wanted, obviously. So to be able to recover the fumble now, that's huge, and get their offense back out on the field and try to get a few good plays. And I've been really impressed with I mentioned it before, but I've been impressed with a lot of their running plays today. So I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see what they're able to do there.
And they've scored late in games before. That was a nice connection there to Jack Newkirk as he gets the first down, but is then brought down at the 30-yard line by, it looked like Jerry Joseph was able to tackle him before letting him break all the way free. A nice first down there from the Fighting Irish. And as they try to get this momentum back swinging in their favor.
And they're going hurry up, it looks like, here, too. That was an incredible juke move right after the catch by Newkirk to get away from that tackle. Still got chased down by some of the other Gladiators, but, man, that juke was nasty.
Impressive. 1st and 10 for the Irish. Harrison drops back, looks to his left, is intercepted. This time by Anquan Polynice, who is brought down pretty quickly. And it looks like 2 players, both with hands on the ball. Neither want to let go.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to give it to Bradenton, and no surprise there. Irish trying to, fight all the way to the end. Try to get the football back, rip it away from them. But, yeah, I mean, the passing plays, one of the they have a great one after that. They have the great one, obviously, to Jack, like we mentioned, Jack Newkirk, and then followed up with the interceptions. Unfortunate. It's just, I just keep looking at this Fighting Irish offense, and I say, there's a lot there to work with. It just needs, and I think I trust the coaching staff to be able to continue to work with it and mold it into what I really believe is going to be in short time a really, really great offense. It's just about cleaning up some of those mistakes again.
I mean, this team has only been playing together since June. That looked like a fumbled ball in the backfield, and the Fighting Irish recover it. So goes possession Fighting Irish to the Gladiators' possession and back to the Fighting Irish. And they are set up again with pretty much equivalent field position as to what they were just in.
Better field position, probably.
Even better,
yeah.
Right. And now they have a 1st down with about 25 yards to go to the end zone.
So the defense now, a couple fumble recoveries in this 4th quarter. And, I really admire and love the energy they're playing with. Even being down 18-0, being down 3 scores, feels like they might be out of it. But they continue to work. And I think that's something that obviously the coach mentioned coming in is like, we're going to continue this. Obviously we care about winning and losing, but we're going to continue to work. We're going to continue to get better. And you can see that kind of work ethic and that desire to get better just coming through on the field right now.
I was mentioning they have only been really playing together, working together since June of this year. It's only been a matter of months. And Coach Mai said that, this group plans to stay together, through the next year. They're 11-year-olds playing in the 12U division with that much time to play together, and they're already showing signs like this. This team can really only go up from here as they get more reps and more time playing together, learning from one another, getting to know, quarterbacks and receivers chemistry better. And
we talk about cleaning things up. I mean, like as you mentioned, this team's only been together for what would be now 3 months-ish, around 3 months around that time. So the idea that, you imagine what this team can look like with 6 times that amount of time, right? 18 months from now, or 15 months from now, and whatever time frame you want to talk about for next season, or 15 months total, because a year from now that'll be they'll together for that time frame, and you wonder how much more they can polish things up, because we mentioned the talent is there, and Coach mentioned this is a year-round program, so they're going to continue to work on getting better. So 15 months from now, I guarantee you there's gonna be a lot more of those big plays than there are negative ones.
It is 1st and 10 for the Fighting Irish at the 25-yard line. Harrison, with pressure coming on, is sacked for a loss of 5 on 1st down. That'll bring us to 2nd and 15. But these Fighting Irish are no strangers to later downs and long yardage, but it doesn't really seem to matter what down they're on. They're able to make explosive plays when they need to.
Absolutely. And, I think another little bit of a low snap on that one, but
Harrison this time looking, was hit as he threw it, was almost intercepted, but that ball is going to go incomplete. He intended for Jack Newkirk, but there was pressure in his face as he was throwing that ball.
And Polonese just couldn't come up with the interception there. Came so close.
That would have been his second tonight.
We've seen a number of, it feels like 3 straight drives, I think we've seen this defense, this Gladiator defense come up with a pick, and they're really starting to play with a lot of confidence now.
3rd and 15. He passes it out to Kendall Lathrow, who is brought down short of this sticks. It'll bring up 4th down and about 10 for the Fighting Irish.
Well, this would be about a 42-yard field goal. Michelle, can you kick a 42-yard field goal?
You know it.
No? Oh, okay.
I absolutely
Well,
cannot kick a 42-yard
Okay,
field
well,
goal.
that's not what I thought. All right, well, they'll probably go for it then, I would think, unless they want to bring you out there. But
They've gone for it on 4th down and even longer. I would be surprised if they didn't go for it, honestly. It looks like they have 3 receivers wide right. And that is exactly where Harrison's looking. He's on the run. Makes the complete. Oh, it was so close to making that completion, but it went right through the hands of his receiver. That will be another turnover on downs, but this time, at least, the field position for the Gladiators is a bit longer than what they've been given the past few drives that have led to scores for them.
you know who Tyler Harrison kind of reminds me of?
Who?
He kind of reminds me of like Baker Mayfield. I don't know why. It just feels like I feel like their games are pretty similar. You know, I mean that was.
So you're saying you see a potential or a future Heisman quarterback out on the field right now?
I'm not saying that necessarily. I mean I don't want to set the expectations too high, but I mean, I don't know. There's something about his game that I look at and it stands out to me. I don't know if it's kind of the mix of a little bit of mobility from him. Able to escape outside the pocket. And his ability to throw on the run a little bit, make plays over the middle, kind of work in that the middle of the field area with those slants and plays like that. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something about him that stands out to me like that.
I mean, he's been under pressure all night long, and he has made. I mean, that was a great play from him. I mean, he felt the pressure coming, rolled to his right. Made a great pass. It was just unfortunately dropped on the receiving end, but I mean he's faced this pressure all night long, but has still been able to make some good decisions, come out with some big plays. It's just the penalties that have plagued this team throughout this entire game.
Right.
This will bring up 1st down for the Gladiators at the 25-yard line. It was handed off to Marvelous Jackson, and he was brought down quickly.
And I imagine we will see a lot of running the ball here. Like that, I would think that's what we're going to see, a lot of just the Gladiators running out the clock. And I think about kind of what both the coaches were talking about before the game, which was that the Fighting Irish 7-on-7 champs, and I think that kind of speaks to just what we've talked about all game. The athleticism on the team, the talent on the team, it's there. It's just when it gets to that 11-on-11 action, there's a lot more balls in the air. There's a lot more things to keep track of. There's a lot more that goes into it, detail-wise, and things that are going to come with time and with more coaching and stuff like that.
That was a false start there on the offsides there on the Fighting Irish. That will be 2nd down for the Gladiators. 5 less yards to go. But I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of running while the Gladiators have possession here with a little over about 6 minutes left in this 4th quarter. You mentioned the 7-on-7 championship, and the other thing to note about that was the lack of use of pads. It was, this is their first time playing in pads as a team as well, and then you go from 7 to 11
and
players.
For some of these players, the first time playing in pads ever. There's some of these guys haven't played in pads yet until this season.
That was a quick incompletion there from Desanor to bring up 3rd down and 6 for the Gladiators. But actually, both of these teams are previous championship teams. The Fighting Irish have won 7-on-7 in 2020 with no pads, and the Gladiators won the 2018 championship in tackle. That was an incompletion again from Desanore. It looked like there was almost potential for an interception this time by the Fighting Irish, but that one went incomplete, bringing up 4th down and 6. I will say the Fighting Irish do still look like they have just as much energy as they did when they started. There is no less drive, no less energy, no less effort here late in the 4th quarter as they trail by 18. And this time, the Gladiators punt it. And the Gladiators will mark it down at the 48-yard line, 47-yard line, with about 5:20 left to play in the game.
Well, I'm still interested to see what the Irish are going to try to do here as they continue to work on things. It was interesting to see them, go back to the running back flip pass later in this game after it didn't work earlier in the game. And you wonder if that's something they're like, not so much, well, let's try to catch the Gladiators off guard as much as it is, well, let's try to work on this again in game action. Because maybe they practiced it a lot and worked perfectly. And, things are different in practice versus the game. So they said, okay, let's get another game rep of this and give them another chance and maybe see, all right, well, it didn't work again. Let's figure out why and try to improve on it in practice. And I imagine that's much what we're going to see from the Fighting Irish offense for the rest of this game.
A good completion there, again, this time to Newkirk, as he is taken out of bounds.
And just to clarify, I don't necessarily mean we're going to see a bunch of running back passes. They're just going to continue to flip it to the running back and be like, well, let's see if this ever works. But just, just plays that they want more reps with and want to be able to, okay, let's continue to find things that we're still fine-tuning, we're still trying to work on as a team.
Especially in a game setting.
Right.
I know that they obviously practice, with just as much intensity, but there's just something different about being in a game setting and the pressure applied in that setting. That was, again, 2nd and 6 for the Fighting Irish. It was a pass from Harrison. It was actually caught by, again, Paulie Neese, but he was out of bounds. So that will bring up 3rd and 6 for the Fighting Irish.
So close to another interception.
By the same guy out there.
Ball hawk. It's like a ball magnet.
Anquan Paulie has done a great job of reading the quarterback's eyes, knowing where he's going with the ball, positioning himself well to be able to come up with some of these interceptions.
They've thrown at him, and he's stood up to the test. He's faced the challenge, and he's really made some great defensive plays, even though they're not interceptions, still pass breakups.
Harrison out wide this time.
Little screen pass. Nice little play.
Jackson Conti again, and he picks up the 1st down for the Fighting Irish. You hear the coaches encouraging them to hurry with the pickup of the 1st down, but there is a Gladiator player down on the field. He is slow to get up, but is back on his feet. That was Tavon Monix, as he is escorted off of the field after the Fighting Irish pick up their 1st down with the ball marked at the 37-yard line.
I will say I like the play there. I thought that the receiver did a nice job, working with his block, and it was a great block out in front of him on the wide receiver screen, and staying behind it and almost setting up the defender to kind of eventually